revisiting my dreams with the king. Yeah. So good. I'm so glad that you accepted the invitation. I had been kind of following your journey for a little while. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit Autumn up. It's Women's Month. She got some things in line coming up this month and this year. So it's a
Yeah,
good time.
it is a good time. I appreciate the offer.
For sure, for sure. I don't pry into personal, people's personal matters, but
Okay.
we do, here on Revisit Your Dreams, it's all about inspiration. It's all about inspiring people, encouraging people, motivating them to pursue their dreams despite life's challenges, despite the daily
Yeah.
challenges. If I have a guest who may have dealt with a death in the family recently or something, we might talk about that. How
Mhm.
they're overcoming that and dealing with it. If I have a guest who has posted something online about a health journey, we might
Mhm.
talk about that because everybody watching this show deals with death, deals with health, and also has an inspiration to do something uh, beyond what they're currently doing
Yeah.
despite those challenges in their lives. So, yo, good people, welcome to another episode of The Ride, a journey to your dreams. I'm your host, Johnny King III, aka Still Chill Leroy, and this is the Revisit Your Dreams podcast show exclusively on the Revisit Your Dreams channel right here on YouTube.com. As always, we have a very special guest and a very special episode to present to you today. But like always, I'd like to start off the show by reminding you of what we're doing here at Revisit Your Dreams. Here at Revisit Your Dreams, we provide inspiration, motivation, encouragement. We explore real life stories of trial, error, and success, and maybe even provide a few laughs along the way. Welcome again to season 3. There's a lot going on in the world today. You could be anywhere doing anything. So we thank you for being here and spending the time with us today. We hope you are honoring and celebrating Women's History this month in some way. Today's episode is titled Generational Health, a help guide for mothers. My very special guest today is a proud mother, author, and entrepreneur. She is a powerful woman in faith, resilience, and purpose. In 2021, she published and released her first book titled Preparing a Fruitful Harvest, One Mother's Pursuit of Generational Health. She is a CEO and co-founder of MADE, the Mother and Daughter Experience, a 501c3 organization designed to bridge the gaps and strengthen relationships between mothers and daughters. She is a speaker and a presenter with a passion for networking and collaboration. As a proud HBCU graduate, her time at Tennessee State University, including representing the school in dance on the 50-yard line during football halftime performances as a member of the Sophisticated Ladies. And she is an active and proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, having served as a charter member and former president of the Upsilon Psi Omega chapter in Nashville, Tennessee. She was born and raised here in Nashville and is a proud graduate of Whites Creek High School. If you are a mother, a daughter, or an adult in the family unit that nurtures and is raising a young lady, if you are a woman who seeks to expand her network and learn ways to impact future generations of women, then this is an episode that you want to stay tuned for. Please welcome to the show our very special guest, my sister and author, Autumn Prather. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Johnny. I really appreciate it. So happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. I think that you have some great insights. I've been inspired by you, like I mentioned before. Your journey, in, both professionally and just personally, is
Mhm.
inspiring. So I know that you'll have some things to offer to our audience today. So thank you again for being here, Autumn.
You're welcome.
I like to start off each episode by letting the audience know how I know each guest. Each guest that I have interviewed so far, has been someone that I personally know, some I've known longer than others. Some of them I've gone to school with, high school, college. I've had professional relationships with. Some of them I've coached their kids or coached with them, played sports with them. Autumn is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. My wife is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We both happen to be fellow TSU Tiger alum, proud fellow TSU Tired alum. I may have crossed paths with Autumn in undergrad, but I remember more so my relationships and my memories of building a relationship with her came much after our graduation from Tennessee State University. Autumn, that's my recollection of our relationship. What are yours?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember being at a party once. I can't remember exactly what the occasion was, but you and Tanya were there. I was there. We were celebrating something, so that's kind of my recollection of when I really got to know who you were. And of course, Tanya um, Black King is
Mm-hmm.
one of my mentors in the dance world. She actually bequeathed her marching boots to me
Oh,
in
wow.
her senior yearbook. So I was extremely proud to receive those from her. Um, but yeah, she's always been an inspiration to me. So you connected to her, you know, this is all in alignment.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
awesome. History. Another reason why I like doing this show is history. Like I learned stuff about myself that I didn't remember because people remember me from back in the day and
Uh-huh.
then they recall stories. When you tell
Hmm.
a story about, you receiving those boots from my wife, like I didn't know that. My wife never told me. We just
Yeah.
had some extensive conversations about Autumn. She didn't say I gave her my boots, but she did talk very highly of you. So and you guys' relationship. So yeah, that party that you mentioned was a party that Tanya and I threw at our home when we
Okay.
first got married, and it was a Christmas kind of party around Christmas time. It was just a friends get together celebration, and we kind of
Yeah.
made it themed and had a good time and played some games. And there was probably
Yeah.
30 or 40 of us over there, and I do remember that night. Yep.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do remember that night.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get straight to it. Okay.
Okay.
This is another episode in our book authors series. I've interviewed many authors on this podcast, and so this is another episode in that series. I designed this series to highlight Black authors, to discuss the writing and publishing process, and to encourage others to pursue the completion of the book that's in their heart and in their
Hmm.
minds.
Hmm.
Your book is a guide for mothers and daughters. Talk
Hmm.
to us about your purpose for writing the book and who specifically your book is designed to reach.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a whole story behind this book. Um, so it was COVID. We were in COVID. We were in lockdown. Um, of course, all we could do was what? Go to work virtually
Mhm,
or, you know, just move about very cautiously. So spent a lot of time at home, right?
mhm,
And was just thinking, how can I use my time effectively? What could I really be doing in this downtime, so to speak, um, to, I guess I would say, do something that was bigger than myself.
mhm,
And it's interesting. Someone reached out, a publisher, someone who I've known pretty much half of my life. We went to school together, went to school with his brothers. His name is Timothy Bond. He owns the Vine Publishing Company. He reached out to me in a similar way that you did and said, "Hey, I've been following your journey. I see some of the things you're posting online. Um, you have a story to tell. You have an audience, whether you know it or not, that could benefit from your story."
mhm,
And he said, "You ought to write a book." He said, "Everything that you're posting is content for your book." And I would just post, I did this thing called Motherhood Mondays,
mhm,
where I would just post inspirational or personal things that I have been through as being a mother. And I guess it was catching on. And interestingly, it caught the eye of a father. Um, but nevertheless, he said, "Hey, I think you got the makings of a really good
Book.
book."
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of toyed with it for maybe 2 weeks or so, and I thought, I don't know. He was like, "You'll be fine." He said, "Just write." He said, "Just write. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about punctuation. Just write." And so I took the challenge and I just wrote and I wrote. And as I wrote, things just start coming to me. And I was like, okay, this is this is making sense. This is telling a story. This is giving um, my lived experiences some color. This is coming together. Now it was a long process, but in the beginning, I was concerned more about structure and, oh well, how do I need to write this sentence? And that's why he kept just telling me, don't worry about all of that. Just write, even if it's just a phrase or fragmented sentence. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Just write. And so my at the time, my daughter and I had a nonprofit for a year at that time because we started it in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the Mother and Daughter Experience. It's a nonprofit, as you mentioned in the introduction, and we champion the sacred bond of the mother and daughter relationship. And so, a lot of the information that I write about is me and my daughter, our relationship, and how we coexisted as mother and daughter through the years. I was a
Mm-hmm.
single mother when I had her, and then I married, and then I divorced. And so she's sort of traveled with me through those different stages of
Yes.
life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I write about some of that, but I also um, engage with women and empowering them, even if they're not mothers. Because as you mentioned, if a woman has had any sort of hand in raising a young lady, you know, then biology doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your impact and it's about your influence in that young child's life, especially daughters. So the book, it was just a kind of a fly by night thing. Someone believed in my potential story and said, "Hey, just write and we'll handle the rest, when we get to it."
I think that Autumn is amazing how you can be in the process of doing something that you regularly do every day, just your normal routine. You
Hmm.
mentioned that you were posting on Mondays, Motherhood Mondays, and just out of your own heart and your own spirit, and maybe even your own personal therapy, just
Yeah.
posting. But
Hmm.
someone else also saw that and said, I'm inspired by that. And I think others might be too. Let
Hmm.
me extend a hand and to you to let's put this on a bigger platform. I think that's great for you to have taken the advice and followed through with it, because that is how a book sometimes is generated. People live their regular everyday lives and
Hmm.
have inspirational moments and inspirational things to say, and they may not know that they're inspiring so many people, but until someone
Exactly.
says, I am inspired by that,
Hmm.
that can inspire other people. Maybe your eyes, Autumn, is not are not open to the impact that you're making, on people. And so I'm personally inspired by that, and I thank you for taking the reins and said, yeah, I will do that, because the next step, when you hear an idea and when somebody prompts you with a thought, is to take action, and that's the hardest part, is to
Yes.
actually take the action.
Right.
You were being encouraged, but to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And he kept telling you, it doesn't matter if it's broken, it doesn't matter if it's, and I kind of know your personality a little bit, so I can only imagine you. But what about this? But what about this?
Yes.
And he's like, no,
I was
just
like,
right.
I'm freaking out here. I'm like, this doesn't sound like it's cohesive. He's like, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. just right.
It'll come together.
It'll come together. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so now in your relationship, your walk with your daughter,
Hmm.
how what things happened in your journey, in your personal journey, or in your journey with your daughter that prompted the thought of making this book about that subject matter?
Wow. Good question. You know, mm, as a single mom, or knowing that you're about to become a single mom, let's say that. So even before I knew, you know, that she was coming, um, she was in utero, basically. I did a lot of research because, you have a certain plan, I would say, for your life.
Hmm.
And sometimes those plans don't work out the way you imagined. And so it was never my plan to be a single mother, but that's just the way it happened. And so I sort of made a pact with myself, and I said, I'm going to do everything that I can to bring this being, this child, into a world where she will have the best opportunity for anything that she aspires to do. First of all, I'm going to nurture her while she's growing in my body. I'm going to understand what's going on at every step of the prenatal journey. I'm going to make sure that I advocate for myself in the doctor's office, to know what's going on. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, I hear her heartbeat, but does it sound strong? Does it,
Hmm.
I just had these sort of check boxes that I was wanting to make sure, okay, I'm being healthy. I'm controlling, what I can control to grow her into this healthy child.
Hmm.
And of course, lots of prayer, right? And then I had a good support system. I will say that. My parents were very supportive. So, and that came about because, unfortunately, there was a little bit of a stigma attached, in my opinion, to um, being an unwed mother. And then, it came soon after I became a charter member of Upsilon Psi Omega chapter. So there were a lot of eyes on me, and only because my plans got diverted, so to speak. I just really wanted to not be a statistic, and really wanted to make sure that our relationship would be one that was healthy,
Hmm.
because I had seen, some unhealthy mom and daughter relationships. Now,
Okay.
my mother and I had a wonderful relationship. And that's where the inspiration came from for our nonprofit that would come, of course, years later after she was born. But inspiration as far as the book, and wanting to really explore, you know, pregnancy, delivery, raising, a daughter. And that was the beginning of the age of social media. That
Hmm.
was, right at the cusp of 2000, right?
Hmm.
We didn't know what was going to happen, when we hit the 2000 mark, the year 2000. So just
Y2K.
in a different type of world, right?
Hmm.
And wow, that's 26 years ago. That's amazing. But just wanting to really give her a hand up in life was my inspiration for the book, as well as personal, because again, um, not having my plans go the way I wanted them to go, it really worked out in my favor because, God knows best.
Hmm.
And I can say that she is all that I have ever dreamed of and more.
That's that's awesome. I mean, that last statement, she's all that you ever dreamed of and more, it sounds like you prepared for that dream
Mhm.
because you talked about, you were very thoughtful about every stage of your pregnancy,
Yeah.
wanting to make sure that you were doing all the right things just so that she could have, when at birth, she could have the best chances out the
Yes.
gate,
Exactly. Out the
out the
gate.
womb, she had the best chances,
Yes.
and then you continue to nurture and continue to provide. And even in adulthood, partnering with her to expand and provide that same type of, nurturing bonding relationship between mothers and daughters with other mother and daughter, tandem relationships. So I think
Yes.
that's amazing. Thank you for explaining that,
Yes.
because sometimes a book comes from an idea, and other times it comes from an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like
Yeah.
it kind of came more from your personal experiences
Yes.
than just a good idea.
Yes.
I had a question about your writing process, but you kind of went into that. But I do want to expand on it just a little bit. Some people watching who are in the process of writing a book or conceptualizing a book in their head don't know where to start because the thought process is, um, do I write it in pen and paper? Do I type it on a computer? Do I use my
Mm-hmm.
phone? Do I use text to speech? Do I use AI and I translate? Like
Mm-hmm.
what type do I, my last, I had a guest couple guests ago, Monica Shotwell, she's an author as well. She said she had a whole bunch of post-it notes for years. She was writing post-it notes, and then she just,
Mm-hmm.
compiled a bunch of them together to start the process of, of the book. So what types of things like that did you do? I know that you had someone who was recommending to you how to go ahead and just forget about being so structured. But what types of things did you do along the way to help yourself get started in that process?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly went back to some prior posts that I made on Facebook and Instagram, just kind of touching, um, what made the biggest impact. What got the most views, maybe, or who had what post had the most engagement. And so I kind of use those as prompts,
Mm-hmm.
to try and just cultivate that and expand on that and give it more, you know just give it more, uh, put more thought behind it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a typer. I'm a data processor. I'm business
Okay.
analyst, so it's in my blood. So I type, lots of words a minute. I don't even know what it
Yeah, you
is.
got videos where you're typing,
Yes.
words are crossing the screen, and all we see is you just typing.
And that's all I do. So my preferred method was just type.
Mhm,
Google Doc. And that was kind of the best way for us, as far as Tim and I, to communicate, was because he could go in and see real time as I'm typing, make edits as I go, suggest,
mhm,
different wordings, for certain things. So my method was just literally just going in, and whatever thought
mhm,
came in at the time, I had to get to the computer. Again, we were in COVID, so there was really nowhere else for me to be but home.
mhm,
And so that was sort of an advantage in, this that crazy time of life, right? Um, but there were some times where, like your other guests, I did write something down on a piece of paper, just something that I may have read, or a statistic, or some sort of research that I may have come across, and I'm like,
mhm,
okay, that's good to know. Let me write that down, and just kind of, I sort of organized chaos here at my desk, just having little things here and there. I did that. I didn't know much about AI at the time. I don't think we were really in the big boom of it at that
mhm,
time to to
mhm.
to really use that tool. But now, I mean, there's no reason no one should not write a book. I
Yeah,
mean, with
if you
the
got it in your
you know
heart.
with AI. So, um, that's a really, good advantage now,
Mhm.
having that there.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that and expanding upon that. While you were talking, I was imagining that, in the book, in the process of you compiling all of this information and all of this data, um, it is in essence, you finished it off talking about AI. What you did is actually what AI does now. You just
Mhm.
did it manually.
I just did it manually. Exactly.
AI, if
Mhm.
you ask AI to write a book based on who AI knows you to be, AI is going to search all of your posts, all of your social media, and they're
Exactly.
going to compile the most prominent information and spit it back out to you.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much what you did. You served as your own AI and to help
Yeah.
yourself compile the information for this book.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, Autumn. And I hope if you're out there and you're watching and you're listening, maybe this opens your eye a little bit that I can use AI, but I'm my own AI.
Yeah.
Like I made all
It's
my
right here.
posts. You made all of your posts. You
Yeah.
made all those texts, all of those tweets that you put out there, all of those, captions you put on those posts that you put out there. Compile some of those, go back to them, look and see, like she said, which ones hit the most, which ones people resonate with people the most. Maybe
Exactly.
that's the engaging content that you can include in your book. So that's
Exactly.
awesome. I appreciate that, Autumn.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's get into the mother and daughter experience. Okay.
Ooh.
We mentioned that in a couple of times. You and your daughter are founding members of this organization,
Hmm.
like we said, which is a 501c3 organization, which is helping impact many mother and daughter relationships in a positive way. Tell us about what the goals and the mission of the mother and daughter experience are, and who does that organization serve?
Yeah. So, oh gosh, this was my passion project. That turned into a literal business, you know. Um, I'll give you the backstory. I had a major surgery in 2018.
Mhm.
Um, and unfortunately, I had a lot of complications, severe complications. So severe that if I had not, once again, advocated for myself and went back to the hospital, we probably would not be talking right now.
Mm, mm,
It was that severe.
mm,
Um, I ended up having to have um, a bowel resection. Now, that was a whole, I mean, so imagine I had a major surgery, 2 weeks at one point, and then the next week I was having to prep for another surgery.
mm,
But when they got in there, they found another problem
mm,
and had to fix that. So, very traumatic time. And honestly, like I said, had I not gone back to that emergency room when I did, I think if I had even waited one more day,
mm.
I probably would not have been here
So
any
glad you went
longer.
back, Autumn.
I'm so glad too, because you don't lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks without
Mm-mm,
something being a problem, right?
mm-mm, mm-mm. Advocate for
So
yourself out there, people.
yeah,
Advocate for
yeah,
yourself.
big proponent of advocating for yourself. So that experience really taught me um, in recovery. So going from all of this happening in 2018, I was still in recovery at the beginning of 2019.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm just, contemplating, man, I could have been gone for real. Like, what is my legacy?
mm-hmm,
You're thinking about that dash. You have your birth year or your
mm-hmm,
birthday, February 13th, 1975. Mine could have easily been November 15th, 2018. That dash.
Yeah. What did we do in
What
between
do
it?
we do? And so I was like, again, something greater than myself. Now, this was even, this was before the concept of the book came to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where the thoughts of, I got to leave something behind that's greater than me. I got to. What sort of legacy do I want to leave my children? You know, what do I want people to say about me in 50, 70, 80, 100 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just began to brainstorm on, I didn't know if it was going to be a business. I didn't know if it was going to be just like I said, a passion project. I just didn't know, but I was like, I got to do something. My life literally could have ended.
Yeah.
I got to do something. So, long story short, I bounced around a few names with my daughter. I said, we need to honor my late mother. I said, that's legacy. That's, so legacy has always been a part of my being. I'm like, something about legacy is penetrating with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to honor my mother with a nonprofit started by her lineage, her offsprings. Because if you think about it, my mother carried my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My mother carried my daughter because my mother
Through
carried
you.
me.
Through you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I carried the eggs that would produce my daughter. So,
Mm-hmm.
ladies, remember that. Your mother carries your future children, her grandchildren. So, I thought that was very powerful. So, I wanted to honor my mother in a way that would leave a legacy, that would give back to women and girls. And so we came up with the mother and daughter experience, because that's exactly what it is. And it's an experience. It's not static, it's
Mm-hmm.
not cookie cutter. What you experience may not be what I experience, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
You may have had a bad relationship with your mother, but things turned around. You may have had a good relationship with your mother and things went sour. There's ups and downs, there's ebbs and flows, there's highs and lows. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we called it an experience. And so my mother passed in 2009, one of the hardest years of my life. And I'm not trying to make a joke, but we lost Michael Jackson that year as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was
It's a
really
rough
rough.
year. Rough year.
It was
Yeah.
a rough year.
Rest.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Rest your
so,
mother's soul too.
but my mom, I mean, we were best friends. And so to honor her legacy, again, this I decided to do it as a nonprofit, um, because that's in my fiber. Of course, you mentioned I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Will be 31 years in November, and so community is what I'm all about. Giving back. So that was going to be just my continuation of who I am. And so the mother and daughter experience mission is very simple. It's to champion the sacred bond of the mother and daughter relationship. And we do that through a number of ways. We do it through intergenerational dialogue and connection. Um, we put on events, we curate community events that brings together multiple generations of women and girls. We have speakers, we have vendors, we have good food, and we have the conversations, the crucial conversations that say, hey, um, again, what has been doesn't have to continue to be? How do we break some of these generational curses? And how do we activate the generational blessings? Because not everything is a curse. You know, our grandparents and great grandparents, they left us gems as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we can tap into those. You know, everything, you know, I don't like to use the word curses, that I really would like to find another word for that. But, you know, where do we break that?
Hmm.
And where do we start the conversation to move towards healing and really equipping the next generation to be healthier
Yeah.
so that their offspring can be healthier, and so their offspring can be healthier, so it's just, you know, a lineage of healthy community, and that's really what our mission is about.
Uh, I'm so intrigued right now because where my mind is going is you made the analogy or you gave the example about how your mother um, birthed your daughter through you.
Hmm.
And when you're talking about what you're doing with the mother and daughter experience and passing it on through future generations, it's like, you know, you're using and allowing this event to birth future generations. You know, these mothers and daughters that are coming to the mother and daughter experience events in 2026,
Hmm.
maybe in 2036, maybe the organizers of the event, and or may have just impacted those individuals in 2036 so much that now. So here's where my mind is going.
Hmm.
Your mother, through her own nurturing spirit, birthed you, your DNA, the person who Autumn Prather is.
Hmm.
You, through your own conscious efforts and your own DNA, your own conscious efforts to make sure that you were doing all the right things to give your daughter the best chance out the gate,
Hmm.
right? Um, you went on and passed on the best opportunity to your daughter for that.
Yes.
Out of those things now come the mother and daughter experience in
Hmm.
that book that you wrote that is
Yes.
impacting future mothers and daughters to now impact future generations of mothers and
Mothers and
daughters.
daughters, exactly.
So my mind just kind of wrapped all that together. I think that's pretty dope. I don't even know if y'all followed me, but I know Autumn kind of followed where I was going with
Oh
that.
yeah, I
I,
was right on your heels. I was right on your heels.
I think that's pretty dope, Autumn. So
Hmm.
you're obviously a woman centered and grounded in service. As a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, you've committed to uplifting your community and the women within it with regular civic engagements. What does being of service mean to you, and in what ways have you directly and personally impacted groups of women through your heart for service?
Hmm. Yeah, great question. So I'm very proud to say that I have had 30, almost 31 years of uninterrupted service to the Nashville community and beyond. So servant leadership, um, being in the trenches, toiling the soil, hands to the plow. I'm all about making sure that I leave something better than I found it.
Hmm.
So, and that can, you know, that can look different for different scenarios, but my service is really servant leadership. Um, I lead by following a lot of the times, um, because I believe that everybody has something to offer. Everybody has some sort of gifts that they can tap into. And so if I'm going to be of service, then I'm going to encourage you to get out there in the front, in the forefront, and shine your light. I'm going to, you know, make sure that you have your just due. Um, And that's how I encourage my sorority sisters to lead and to continue the beautiful work that we do within our communities and around the world. Um, Currently, I am the leadership development chairman for my chapter. And so I do a lot of um, engaging with our sorority members to just go for it. Get out there, put your face out there, do it scared,
Hmm.
do it when you think it's hard, because once you do it and once you get over that initial fear, you know, it's easy sailing. Number one, because you got the support of your other sisters behind you. And then number two, you're gaining those skill sets as you go. And those are just going to just get better and better as time goes along.
Absolutely. You and I are both proud alumni of the Tennessee State University, who
Yes.
recently celebrated Ohio Valley Conference Championship in men's basketball, earning our school a bid in the NCAA March Madness tournament, which hadn't happened since I was a sophomore
Yeah.
in 1994.
Yeah.
Um, During your days as a student on campus,
Hmm.
you were actively involved in the spirit of the university, serving as a dancer and a majorette during halftime performances at TSU football games and homecoming celebrations.
Hmm.
As a proud member of the Sophisticated Ladies,
Hmm.
talk about what your HBCU experience means to you and how performing for you was an act of service to the university.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. How much time do you have? Because we could talk about this all day.
I know.
Oh, my
Go
goodness.
go deep as you want to.
Well, first of all, my mom was a TSU alum. So there was no other choice.
That's where
There
you're
was
going.
no other choice. Um, that's where I knew I was going since age 11,
Wow.
because that was the first time I believe I saw um, the majorettes in well, when I became aware of what they were, the majorettes in the 80s, in the homecoming parade. And I was like, yeah, she's beautiful. I want to be like her.
Hmm.
And so from that moment on,
That's good.
that was my goal, was to get to Tennessee State University and to be one of those beautiful ladies marching down the street.
Hmm.
So, um, wow, attending an HBCU, TSU was top tier. Just to be among the culture, um, the diversity of different states and cities, and from the New York down to the New Orleans, just just interacting with the different accents, the different s- styles of clothing,
Hmm.
just learning from each other, just vibing from each other. Um, I was often told that, I didn't sound like I was from Nashville. They're like, you don't have that Nashville accent, that
Accent, yeah.
Tennessee accent.
I didn't think you was from Nashville until I looked it up.
And I still get that to this day. When I see people at homecoming or, out and about that we went to school with, and they'll be like, well, so where you at now? And I'm like, well, I'm here.
Here where
I've
I always
always been here.
been.
Like, this is where I was born and raised. They're like, are you kidding me? Like, I never knew you were from Nashville. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is it.
Hmm.
But just having those positive interactions, with the students, with my peers, um, it was like the best times. I mean, I can remember us having our own section in the student union building at lunch, you know, just to know you have that solid crew that you can talk with, and you know, trust, and at a certain time every single day you're gonna see your crew.
Yeah.
It was just such a it was such a time to be alive, the 90s. And we were very supportive of each other,
Hmm.
and I'll go off on a tangent in a minute, but we just don't see that now, and I love the way we supported and encouraged our friends and sorority sisters and fraternity brothers, and I mean everybody was doing their thing,
Hmm.
we called it 95 live, back in 95 everything was live, 95
Hmm.
live, 95 live. And so we just had so much fun being a majorette. Here's a story. Again, since age 11, that was my goal. I made my first goal, which was Whites Creek High
Hmm.
School, as being a majorette. But I had to ascend to TSU because, we were called Little TSU,
Baby TSU.
baby TSU. So I had to go higher.
Hmm.
But guess what? I didn't make the squad the first time I went out.
Hmm.
I'm thinking, wait a minute. I just came off of being head majorette at Whites Creek High School. What do you mean I don't make the squad at TSU?
Right. Right.
It humbled me. It humbled me. And it also, and this is what's so great about HBCUs, I was given feedback. I was told by the majorette coordinator, the incomparable Mrs. Judy F. Gentry, this is what you need to do. This is why you didn't make it. I need you to do this. This is what you need to do. Now go do it.
School.
They nurtured us
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
TSU. They wanted us to succeed. They didn't give us anything. They gave us the tools. They gave us the resources. But you had to earn every single thing.
Hmm.
But they were right there behind you, supporting you all the way.
Hmm.
And that's what I love most about TSU. And so, not making it that first year, even though I was devastated, and my mother said, I didn't know if I was going to have to call, you know, mental crisis hotline or what for you, but honey, you
Couldn't
were
believe you
down in
didn't
the
make that
dumps. I
squad.
couldn't believe it. I'm like, but when I did what I was told to do, and I came back stronger than ever, and ended up being captain just a year after I made the squad. So,
It's a dope story. We told you she was resilient, and powerful and very engaged in what she does. I don't know, Otto. I'm letting you know this. I put images on the screen now, so that the audience get to see some imagery while we're talking about some of these things. So I know you're
oh,
seeing
okay.
some of these images of Autumn when she was a majorette, because some are flashing on the screen right now. I guarantee you they are, because I've already downloaded them from Facebook and I put them in this production when I'm
Oh,
editing them.
okay.
So I'm just letting you know,
Okay. Okay.
and the audience know. I might keep that in there too,
Okay.
that I'm doing that. But yes, I do remember those days, Autumn, of seeing you down there on the field at halftime. My wife was down there too. We weren't married then. I didn't even know her back then. But I just remember seeing her. But I do remember you guys on the field. You mentioned the nurturing that you got from the incomparable Miss Judy Gentry. Uh, I don't know Miss Judy Gentry personally, but I have heard many conversations about Miss Judy Gentry,
Yes.
and so I do know the impact that she has had on all you guys' lives, and that's amazing. And then to wrap up the HBCU part, the one theme that I hear from you in that is that there was a togetherness kind of, in during our years, that everybody was accepting of one another. Everybody was promoted one another, encouraged one another,
Exactly.
was inspired by each other.
Hmm.
When we looked at someone from another place with something different,
Yeah.
it wasn't like hate. It was like, man, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that was
What's up with
cool.
that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm
Like
trying to do that. I'm trying to wear my pants like that. I'm trying to wear my,
exactly.
you know
Like
what I'm
teach
saying?
me more. Like I want to know
Yeah.
more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's cool. I miss those days. Definitely, what a time to be alive in the '90s for sure. I
Absolutely.
know the people that go to school now, they had their own share of fun and a great time, but I don't think it compared. We
It
didn't have the
doesn't.
social media aspect, so we had to nurture one another and
Exactly. We
be
had to
engaged with one
talk.
another. We had
Yes.
to, and
We
that's what
had to.
made it. That's what made it. Yeah, everything.
We danced at
Hmm.
the club and parties.
We wasn't sitting here
We
on our
wasn't
phones,
sitting there on the
standing on against the
phone.
wall.
No.
Yeah,
We came out, hair sweated out,
yeah.
clothes soaking wet, and we loved every second of it.
Every minute of it, that's for sure. I appreciate that journey down your HBCU experience. Over the past year or so, all right, you've talked about this earlier a little bit. You've openly expressed parts of your health journey publicly on social media.
Mm.
What do you want viewers who have seen some of your posts to take away from your recent health experience? And how is your journey impacting your goals and dreams?
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I'm a walking miracle, to be completely honest with you. Um, it started when I was born. I was born prematurely. I had to be in the NICU. Um, I was only 3 pounds, 7 ounces when I was born. But I didn't look it. I looked, it's interesting, you see images sometimes of babies born prematurely. Um, but I was an interesting case. I didn't really look sickly, even though, I was very small.
Mhm,
Um, but I ended up getting pneumonia when I was a baby as well, and that was a touch and go situation.
mhm,
So I kind of started out young behind the eight ball,
yeah, yeah.
and it's interesting. I want to bring up when I did make the majorette squad. I'm going to tell you, your wife encouraged me so much because our first game, I couldn't march because I had twisted my ankle
Mm,
in practice. And I just remember Tanya being so supportive. She was like, Autumn, I know you feel like things are against you, and this was not supposed to happen. You made the squad, you did everything you were supposed to do, and now you can't even march in the first game. But I'm telling you, you're gonna bounce back. You're gonna,
mhm.
this is just gonna make you stronger. And that was your wife that told me
Oh man, that's
that. I want to
dope.
say that. Um,
Shout out there.
Shout out, shout
And you.
out. But yeah, it was like, you know, just attacks, attacks, attacks. I mentioned my surgery in 2018, which led to severe complications in 2019. But all of that led to this book, that I wrote regarding preparing a fruitful harvest, um, searching for that generational health so that all of our women and girls and can be and build healthy communities and participants in those communities. And then we get to the year of 2023,
Mm,
one of the best years of my life so far, because between 2022 and 2023 I had some goals that I wanted to speak, because I'm a speaker,
mhm,
um, once a month for the whole year, at least once a month, January through December.
mhm.
And I met that goal in 2022.
Awesome.
I had 12, at least 12 speaking engagements in 2022. So I was riding high.
Manifestation.
Yes, I was manifesting it all. And I was on a high.
Mhm,
I was on a high. And again, your wife, she sent me a note. She said, "This is your season. This is your season." I remember that. I remember so much with Tanya. Um,
She was inspired. She must have been inspired by you. You know, it's reciprocal. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So
But
that's
that
a
just
that's an inspiration exchange right there.
exactly. But that's the a testament to our generation,
Hmm.
you know. And so 2023 comes, and I'm still on that high. I won the Women Who Rock Nashville Award for Community Activist. I won that award in March of 2023.
That's a big deal too.
One of my greatest accomplishments.
For those of you who don't know, in Nashville, in the city of Nashville, that's a big award for both men and women who are doing big things in the city of Nashville. Big deal, Autumn.
Yes, and so still was doing a few speaking engagements. Um, my daughter and I, we were celebrating our fifth anniversary with the mother and daughter experience. So we were going to do it big for our fifth. We had this nice evening gala um, where we asked people to come in their after five attire, and we just had a really good time. That was in August of 2023. Shortly after that, my daughter and I went to see Beyonce in Atlanta. Um, but unbeknownst to me, August 29th of 2023, my life would change once again. Um, I was driving. I was at a red light, and I remember turning left at this, when the light turned green. But that's all I remember. The next thing that I knew was that I woke up in an ambulance.
Mm.
And I was trying to figure out, well, wait a minute. I was just driving. I'm not understanding. Why am I in an ambulance? Well, they kept asking me questions that I had no clue of why they were asking me this. They were like, ma'am, are you, have you ever had a seizure before? Have you ever done, this before? Has this happened before? And I'm looking like, what are you talking about? I was just driving. How did you get here? Who are
Hmm.
you? Where did you come from? How did you get here?
Yeah, why you asking me these
Why are
questions?
you asking me these questions? And so, honestly, I don't even remember me answering the questions. I don't remember the ride to the hospital. The only thing that I remember is that I had my dog with me in the car,
Mhm.
but when I sort of came to in the ambulance, I saw my daughter there, and she was holding the dog. So now I'm trying to figure out, well, how did my daughter get here? Like, what alternate universe have I morphed into?
Yeah,
This was all very confusing
started
to me.
freaking you out for a
It was
second.
freaking
Yeah,
me out. I was like, well, wait a minute. Why am I not in my car? Where is my dog? Why does my daughter have my dog? And why do you all keep asking me about seizures?
yeah.
Well, got to the hospital. Like I said, don't even remember getting there. Um, they took me in. They had me on a gurney. I just remember laying there, and someone asked me what year it was and who was the president. And I did not know.
This was last year,
This was 2023.
2023. Wow.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I started to cry. I remember that because I was like, I know this.
Hmm.
I literally was just driving. Like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Why don't I know what year it is? Why don't I know who the president is.
Mm-hmm.
I was so confused. And
Mm-hmm.
so finally, somebody said the words, "You had a seizure while you were driving."
You had never heard them say that. You've been asking all this time, trying to figure out what is going on. That's the
Yeah,
first time it.
that was the first time they said you had a seizure
Wow.
while you was driving. Now I'm thinking, well, how did my car stop?
Mm-hmm.
Where did it stop?
Mm-hmm.
How did somebody know what was going on in my car to call the paramedics? What did they see?
Mm-hmm.
Who were these people? Who was that
Right.
person? Because I swear I want to thank them.
Yeah.
My life totally changed that day,
That's the first time you've ever experienced a seizure.
to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do remember in the hospital them putting all of these sort of electronic things in my head, and they were looking for brain activity and just doing all kinds of tests and everything. And they actually told me I was still having seizures. I wasn't outwardly showing them, but they're called absent seizures.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still having those seizures, that activity in my brain while still at the hospital.
Wow.
So I ended up staying overnight. And then the next morning, a neurologist came in and he explained that I have epilepsy. Now, you don't normally hear of a 48-year-old getting epilepsy. You may hear of a child having epilepsy and then they grow out of it, right? But to be 48 and to never have had any semblance of anything regarding neurological disorder
Mm-hmm.
was baffling to me. So I'm trying to trace in my mind what could have brought this on, you know, what have I done to get this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was just totally confused. But nevertheless, they started loading me up with seizure medications. And I swear I went through every single seizure medication on the market until they finally found one or a combination of meds that would control it. Because after that first seizure in August, I ended up having two more, but I wasn't driving. So, in case, just a little education, once you have a seizure, you can't drive for at least 6 months. Well,
Oh, okay.
I ended up not driving for 2 whole years.
Wow. Because of they kept reoccurring.
Well, they kept reoccurring, and because had PTSD.
Sure. Because you would not want to have a seizure in the middle of driving on a freeway or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So getting behind the wheel of a car was I w- I wasn't gonna do it. But let me tell you what was so amazing. I had a village of sisters. Um, my son's father at the time, um, my daughter, my um, just my women's empowerment group. They all were there to say, wherever you need to go, I got you.
We got you.
So I got rides to hair appointments, nail appointments, doctor's appointments, lunch, dinner, uh, to go get the medication. Any and everywhere, and grocery shopping. I got gift cards to DoorDash and Kroger and Publix and Instacart. Whatever I needed, it was provided by these servant leaders like myself, as well as the people in my household, my daughter, my son's father, even my oldest son, who's my stepson. He was able to take me somewhere. He took me to a party, you know. So I just had the best, again, I've always been blessed with a really solid support system.
Support. Mhm.
Yeah. But it has been a journey. The medication, just being transparent, it's not advised for long-term use because it can damage your liver.
Mhm.
You know how medications are. You hear all the
Side
side
effects.
effects,
Mhm.
you thinking, well, shoot, I just might
What
just
I'm gonna do
deal with
after this? Yeah,
I'm gonna just deal with the issue instead of taking the medicine. Because then once I get that side effect, I got to take another medicine to handle
to
that
deal
side
with that
effect.
one.
It's
Right.
just, but through it all, um, it just strengthened my resolve to really, really, really manifest my purpose in life, to manifest my dreams, revisit my dreams,
Mhm.
things that I had put on the back burner, you know, that I've still yet to, that I was just gonna leave it there.
Mhm.
But no, I gotta pick it up off the shelf now because I've been given so many chances. And there's obviously a reason for that. There's a purpose.
You live a life of purpose, Autumn. I thank you dearly for going to the extent of explaining what happened during that instance. You didn't have to share all those details, but I appreciate you doing that. I know our viewers watching appreciate hearing that story. It was. Is courageous, even though you're just living your life as a human being and you just want to be as fruitful with the rest of your years here on this planet
Hmm.
as you can be.
Hmm.
It's courageous still for you to, um, despite not knowing when and if you will be impacted by maybe another seizure or an event like that,
Hmm.
you're still not letting that discourage you from showing up in public spaces,
Yeah.
showing up to speak
Yeah.
engagements, preparing things for your
Hmm.
future as if this is not going to
This,
derail you at all.
right. Right.
That's the power in you continue telling that story
Hmm.
and telling what you're still doing despite those things in your life. And that's part of the major purpose of this podcast, being titled Revisit Your Dreams. And at the beginning, when we talk about why we're here, is to explore real life stories of trial, error, and success. And of course, your health journey is not necessarily trial and error or success so much. Is something that you just had to naturally go through.
Hmm.
But it takes courage to fight those things, overcome them, and still want to keep pushing forward with your goals and dreams, and be willing to tell people about the ups and downs in that journey.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, I just believe it's important um to tell your story. It's your story. You are the expert of your life.
Hmm.
So there's nothing, taboo or embarrassing or, condemning about your own life story.
So it is what it
It is what
is.
it is. Yes.
Yeah. Everybody has a story too, and everybody's story is different. And some people's might be more sensational than others. When you hear like what actually happened in their life, it may
Right.
be more of a sensational story, but
Right.
everyone has a journey, and no one should be ashamed of the journey that they took, as long as they're pushing forward toward better in their future, you know.
Exactly.
um, I appreciate that. All right, here goes a sidebar question.
Okay.
We're both proud members of our Greek letter organizations.
Hmm.
You are a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
First fam.
What is your take? Yes, yes, first fam. What is your take on the recent rise in Black Greeks denouncing their fraternities and sororities in such a public, and some would say blasphemous way?
Mm,
You can answer that how you want.
yeah. Yeah. Um, you know why I'm pausing, because we have esoteric information, and we are very discreet.
For sure.
Um, but what I'll say to that is, I think there is a difference between trendy and truth. And I just say, if that's your truth, that's your truth. However, you know, or you knew the situation. And and in my opinion, um, there could have been um, ways to stop, if that's what you wanted to do, before it got to you denouncing.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to do that. So it looks like it's more of a trend now to me than it is truth, because again, I think everybody was afforded the opportunity to go as far as they wanted to. um, and if you didn't choose to stop, then you knew exactly what you were getting yourself into. But if that's your truth, then I say, hey, that's your truth.
To each his own.
Hmm.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. To each his own. If that's your truth, that's your truth. On the flip side, um, there are stopgap measures in every organization, in every process, that allows anyone who's entering that organization to take a different approach to it if they chose to, before
Exactly.
they fully committed.
Exactly.
And so I agree that there are different ways.
Hmm.
This is a question that I ask, that I'm starting to ask just because it's a popular topic.
Yeah.
And it also impacts so many of us in our circles,
Hmm.
especially when I talk about HBCUs. Many people watching this episode, watching this podcast, are
Hmm.
members of the Greek fraternities and sororities organizations. Some of them watching have wanted to become, or are in the process of becoming. And
Hmm.
so these questions now, it helps those people who have considered or are in the process, like, maybe is this something I should be doing? Should I
Hmm.
reconsider?
Yeah.
And again, to each his own. Know
Hmm.
what you're getting yourself into and be true to yourself.
Exactly.
Don't be true to the organization before you're true
Right.
to yourself.
Right.
Be true to yourself
Right.
and let that dictate your plan of action.
Right. Yeah. I always tell my young girls, my young ladies, to thine own self be true, and what is your why?
Mhm.
What really drives you to want to be whatever it is that you want to be?
Mhm.
What is the end goal for you?
Yeah, and it should be as important. Sometimes you need to literally write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing this? The reasons why I'm doing this in a positive way, and what negatives might come out of it. You
Mm-hmm.
might need to consider all the negatives because there's positive and negative with almost everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you need to consider that too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you might change your mind in the future because something might come up in the future,
Mm-hmm.
then you might not want to start.
Right. Exactly.
you know. All
Exactly.
right. I appreciate your take on that. Let's have a little fun. All right. We've
All
we've
right.
we've we've bumped around the hills and the valleys a little bit with some interesting topics of service, of health, of impact, and motherhood. But let's have a little fun. I like to have some fun with my guests. Go a little bit deeper into your thoughts a bit. I got a new segment that I play with a few guests. I really like doing this segment. So I think it'll be fun with
Okay.
you. You
Okay.
down for a game?
Yeah.
All right, it's time to pull out your freestyle skills and your trivia skills. I'm not going to ask you to rap, not
Oh, okay.
freestyle
I was
rapping.
going to say.
Audience, I hope you appreciated our reaction to that. It's time for you to pull out your freestyle skills and your trivia skills and buckle up for another round of Off Top. All right, so here's how this goes. I mention the name of a person, place, thing, or event, and you tell us in 30 seconds or less the first thing that comes to mind off top.
Okay.
Got it?
I got it.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. This one is going to be heavily centered around your experience and service with Tennessee State University. So I'm calling this the sophisticated lady edition of Off Top.
All right.
So here we go
Let's go.
with Autumn Prather. All right, off top. First one, former TSU president Dr. Glenda Glover.
Powerhouse legacy leadership, um, inspiration.
Inspired. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated as well, your soror, and she led TSU in previous years for many years. I don't know how many years did she serve as a president at TSU.
I think it's 11,
About 11
about
years.
11
Yeah,
years. I think so.
quite a while. All right, off top. Next one, off top. Former U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris.
Hmm. Trailblazer, soror, should have been our president. Beautiful, love her laugh, amazing speaker, relatable. Should have been our president.
Kamala Harris should have been the president. Hey, I don't know a whole lot of people that would disagree with you, especially at this point.
Yes.
Uh, all right. Next one. Off top. The major motion film Hidden Figures.
Ooh. Powerhouse mathematician, Katherine Johnson, I believe that's her name. I hope that was her name. Who is my
We're not going to
soror?
fact check you.
Who is my sorority sister?
Mhm.
Um, should have gotten more notoriety than she did. Um, however, the movie itself depicted greatly what the sign of the times were. Taraji P. Henson played it beautifully. Um, Black women are the backbone of any and everything that's great.
Mic drop. I saw the mic drop. You didn't have to say nothing. All right. Off top. I appreciate that one. Off top. Presidential inauguration poet Amanda Gorman.
Young, influential, poetic, beautiful, brown skinned girl, history maker, black
Love it.
excellence.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Black excellence.
Black excellence, poet, beautiful history maker. Um, yes, she was. If you don't know who Amanda Gorman is, you'll see an image on the screen that should tell you who she is and why she's infamous. Because she gave the inauguration speech for former U.S. President Barack Obama. All right, off top, next one. All-time tennis great Serena Williams.
Ooh, body. Um, Strong, beast, top tier, inspirational, uh, a, um, a leader, a leader in her field. Yeah, the best,
For
the
sure.
goat.
For sure. Definitely the GOAT. GOAT, greatest women's tennis player of all time, maybe the greatest tennis player of all time. I'm not saying that she can beat the men necessarily or she can't beat the men necessarily, but worldwide, world renowned. I mean, if I'm putting my money on any individual match
Yeah,
and they say pick one tennis player to win a match, we're not going to tell you who they going to play, where they going to play, or nothing. Just pick one. I'm picking Serena.
yeah.
I don't know who she could play Djokovic or Nadal or something. I don't know, but I'm picking Serena.
I tell you, Wimbledon was on my bucket list. I always wanted to go.
Yeah, so, man, still time. I want to go to the. I want to take my kids to the um, U.S. Open. In
Mhm.
New York one time and see some of those matches. All right, next one. We're almost done. We got two more.
Okay,
Hope you're ready for this one.
okay.
Former TSU sophisticated lady Altovis Cook, aka Lady.
Oh, that's my lady. Oh, my heart, my my captain, dancer extraordinaire, actress, singer, a Renaissance woman, killing it in New York right now, in Harlem, doing her thing, trail blazed her own trail.
Man, um,
That's
Lady
yeah,
is, I mentioned this to the audience. I hope you can see her affinity for who she is. You could see it just oozing out of her smile, out of her eyes when she talks about Lady. You probably could hear it in my voice. Like Lady is Altovis Cook is just as much of a mark of history in my years of TSU
hmm
as any other event at TSU, like TSU making it to the NCAA tournament
yeah,
in 32 years ago. That's a mark in history. Me being able to watch Lady perform on the football field at
yeah,
halftime, that's a mark in history.
yes,
Like, because her name, they were named the sophisticated ladies. She was given the name Lady. That should tell you enough. That should tell you everything you need to know. Anyway, this is your segment, not mine. I had to throw Lady in there. Shout out to Lady. We love Lady. We
Shout
love
out to Lady.
her. All right, last one. Off top. TSU sophisticated lady number one, Judy Gentry.
Ooh, mother figure, mentor, dance of dance of all genres, jazz, ballet, tap, modern, choreographer. Um, didn't play no games. Had to be perfection. And if you didn't, you got 5, 10, 15, whatever, however many fives she put up at the game. That's how many laps you had after the game.
Like you in the middle of the performance, you like,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. In the middle point there, your five,
Yep.
do it again, it's gonna be 10. You're like, let me get my kick up right. Let me get this leg up higher.
Exactly. So
Let me point this toe straight.
the bar was here and you could not be below it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What a time to be alive, to be a sophisticated lady. I can only
Yes.
imagine the volume of. I don't know if y'all felt it as pressure, but the volume of yeah, accountability and responsibility you had,
Yeah.
giving who your leader was and what you guys were actually representing,
Oh yeah.
at halftime during halftime performances. If you guys have ever watched an HBCU halftime performance, particularly like the ones that are at Tennessee State University, maybe Jackson State, maybe Southern, some of the other FAMU, they have majorettes and dancers that perform, in front of the band at the 50-yard line,
Hmm.
and these performances are outstanding. They're elaborate. There are
Hmm.
very choreographed performances. These ladies are out there with shiny. I mean, you describe it, Autumn. Like y'all can see
I
the
mean,
pictures. Matter, and we don't have to describe it.
yeah,
Y'all
yeah.
see the pictures on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
this was an event
yeah,
every
it's
football
it's
game.
it's it's the creme de la creme of the football game. A
Mhm.
lot of people come to see the players, the football players, but most people come to see the band and especially the majorettes. And so I won't say pressure, but the pleasure of performing in front of thousands of people was exhilarating. And yeah, we wanted to keep people talking. Yeah, that was the goal.
We are still within this segment of off top, and we're still talking about sophisticated ladies. So now I'm just going to expand on this a little bit. Just this is a question that I hadn't considered when I was preparing these questions. What might be one of the most memorable performances, most memorable games that you had to perform at, or the most memorable venues that you performed at, or one of the most memorable performances for a particular reason?
Whoa. Wow. Um, so many. Oh gosh. I mean, each performance was each performance was different, a different energy, I should say, depending on especially who we were playing. Um, because back then we had the Atlanta Classic, so it
Mhm.
was always FAMU and TSU, um, and those were inside the dome, old Georgia Dome, I believe it was called. I can't
Mhm.
remember.
Mhm.
Um, but those were always exciting because they were inside. Southern Heritage Classic, of course, was at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, and it was always outside.
Mhm.
So it was just really kind of whatever dynamic we were in. It that that gave it the extra fuel or the energy that we put out on the field. But I am going to have to say my most memorable, and I don't know how this is gonna land, but I'm an honest person. I'm an open book. But my most memorable moment was marching in the 1997 inaugural parade for former President William Jefferson Clinton.
Okay.
And I am 99.9% sure that when I marched by his box where he was watching us, that he gave me a little wink. And you can find that footage on YouTube. Now, you won't see necessarily President Clinton in the box, but you can see the band
Mhm.
uh, coming down the street. But yes, marching in the inaugural
I appreciate that.
parade was probably my most memorable time.
I appreciate that take, and that was for a specific reason. That it was very memorable, so I appreciate that take. No matter how it lands, what you think about it, it happened. You know what
It
I'm
happened.
saying? And it happened to her. So hey, don't hate. You wasn't the one. All right, man, that was fun. Autumn, I appreciate
That
that
was fun.
all
Thank
your
you.
takes in
Thank
that
you.
round of
Thank
off
you.
top, the sophisticated lady edition of off top. I appreciate that. I hope if you're watching, you enjoyed that segment. I enjoyed doing those and look forward to doing some more in the future. All right, we're almost done here. We're getting toward the end. All right, but I got one last question for you before I give you the platform and the floor to talk about some things. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What real life story from your journey would you share with a group of mothers and daughters that might encourage them to strengthen their family relationships?
I will say this. There were a lot of things that I noticed in my formidable years growing up. I noticed other moms and daughters dynamic versus my mother and my dynamic.
Mhm,
For example, I noticed that other moms and daughters told each other that they loved them. My mother and I did not have that dynamic.
mhm,
Even though I know without a shadow of a doubt she loved me,
mhm,
but the words were never spoken, right?
mhm,
Um and and I mean, it just, you know how you just don't do some things in your household,
mhm.
comparatively to others.
So it's just
it's
something we
it's just
didn't
something
do in
we
our
didn't do.
household. Yeah.
Some people are not touchy feely. They don't hug, they don't show the affection, they don't do the PDA,
Mhm,
whatever. But I just noticed how that was a missing piece in my growing up years,
mhm,
and I I said to myself, when I become a mother, that I am going to make sure that I tell my children that I love them,
mhm.
if not every day, every other day,
Regularly, yeah.
very, very regularly. And so um, I started practicing that, of course, with my daughter when she first entered the world, you know.
Mhm,
And so now it's life. It's just what we do.
mhm,
Um, so that's one thing that I took from my childhood that was missing, that I implemented into my own life and my own kids. Um, and so I kind of say that to say, um, just because it wasn't done for you or with you, with your mom or your grandmom or whoever raised you, doesn't
mhm,
mean that you can't reverse that or do it a different
mhm,
way, or you know start your own tradition. with your own kids. Um, Communication, I think, is so very important between mothers and daughters, particularly because little girls go through things
Mhm.
that little boys don't. And we know
Mhm.
what we're talking about. We're talking about puberty. We're talking about that monthly little thing that comes.
Mhm.
And my mother never talked to me about that. I mean, I'm about to be open and honest with you.
Yeah.
I Interestingly, New Edition was just here, right? What about my very first concert with New Edition? I was 11 years old. And when I left that concert, I was mortified because of what I saw when I went to the restroom.
Mm. Had no idea it
I
got
said,
like that.
well, what is going on with me? Well, my mother never prepared me,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so, again, just because my mom didn't do it with me doesn't mean I couldn't do it with my daughter. So I prepared my daughter from the age of 3.
Mhm.
I started talking to her about her body. I started naming the parts of her body, the correct names.
Mhm. Mhm.
Of course, at 3, I didn't tell her about the puberty stuff. But as she got older, I just started, just filtering in, some of the things that was going to happen.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where she was so prepared, she didn't even let me know. She was like, "Okay, mama, I got this. Like
Yeah.
you've been telling me this for the last 5 years. Like I knew what to do. I'm good."
Mhm.
That's
That's
generational health. That's generational health. Um, so I would just encourage moms, um, or future moms, um, be the mom that you needed or that you wanted. Even if you had and nobody has the perfect mom, right?
right. We don't have perfect
Parenthood,
parents.
parenthood doesn't come with a manual.
Mhm.
Then you can't Google it. You can't AI it. You just can't.
Mhm.
But be who you needed your mom to be for you, right? And just do it to the best of your ability. Nobody can tell you how to raise your children. You know, you have your own set of values, you have your own set of ideals and beliefs. Um, you enter in your faith, um, and that shapes, you know, sort of the ecosystem of how you're going to parent.
Mhm.
And so I encourage you to lean into that and to really um, know what type of, again, I'm going back to that legacy word. What type of legacy do you want to leave?
Mhm.
Because we all got to go. We're going to leave, but what's going to be left behind when you leave? And that was another reason why I wrote the book as well, because my publisher reminded me that everybody should write a book because that's your legacy. That's what you're going to leave behind. That's what's going to be available
Still
to
here.
people to read your story when you have gone on.
That's how a piece of you remains when you're gone, because your mindset, your thoughts, and your inner being is out in words for people to regurgitate over and over, even beyond your years.
Exactly.
That's awesome, Autumn. I appreciate your response on that. When you said that that's generational health, you kind of wrapped it up by basically summarizing what the title of your book, a subtitle of your book is, in generational health, and paying it forward, being to your daughter and to fathers if you're watching too. this applies to you as
Yeah,
well. Being
yeah,
to your son or being to your daughter what your mother or your father may not have been to you, and to no fault of their own, just the course of you learning who you are as an adult and what you might have needed as a child
yeah,
that you might not have gotten. And it had nothing to do with what your parents failed at or anything like that. It's just that you just didn't receive it and you know you needed it as an adult. So now pay that forward to your children to give them out the gate the best
yes,
chances at success.
yes. Because when you know better, you do better,
Mhm,
right? And a lot of people ask me, well, you got this mother and daughter nonprofit. Well, what about your son? Because I have a son.
mhm,
What about him? And I'm like, valid question, valid question.
mhm,
Um, he's looped into all of this. My
mhm,
methodology doesn't change because of my nonprofit. The same values and um, intangibles that I'm instilling in my daughter are going into my son as well. It just so
mhm,
happens that me and my daughter came together to form this nonprofit. But men, fathers, sons, grandfathers, uncles, nephews, it's all the same principles.
mhm.
It's all the same principles. I just so happen to do it with my daughter.
You so happen to be a woman,
She'll happen to be a woman,
and,
happen to have a
and
daughter first.
right.
Um, and that's just it.
It's inspirational either way.
Yeah,
Like I said, as a man, as a father, I'm inspired to translate that and to say, what can I do as a father to be better for my children? Not necessarily better than what my dad was for me, because I'm that's to suggest that my dad was, didn't do some things. I'm not suggesting that,
yeah,
but I know that as a kid, there are some things that maybe I would have learned when I was younger.
yeah,
Well, pass that forward to my kids and not let them grow up saying, "Man, I wish my dad would have taught me that." Well,
exactly.
teach them that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
situation.
Yeah. So you just flip that thing, you know.
So, all right, here's Autumn. I'm going to give you. That was a. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Me
Even though
too.
this is Women's History Month, and even though the subject matter of most of our conversation was centered around mothers and daughters, and women helping, this still applies, like you said, across the board to males as well, to fathers, to sons as well. A lot of this still applies. So I appreciate your takes on all of this. I really enjoyed this conversation. Right now, I want to give you the opportunity to talk to our audience about anything that you have coming up, that you have going on in the near future, in the distant future, any books you're writing, any big announcements you want to make. But here's the floor for you to really steer our audience to your platforms. I appreciate the time with us today, but go ahead. I'm giving you the floor.
Well, thank you, Johnny, once again for having me. This was so much fun, um, and very life giving for me. I appreciated all of the prompts and topics and the freestyle, all of that. It just really warmed my heart to reminisce about HBCU life and all of that. So this was wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing. I want to encourage you. Keep
Thank you
doing
so
what you're
much.
doing. Um, for me, and I do remember what I was going to make a point about.
Go ahead.
Um, my daughter and I are not perfect. No relationship is perfect. We argue, we fight, we still have that mother daughter dynamic that, she's a mini me, right? Because that's who they
Mhm,
are. They're mini
mhm,
mothers. So, never want to make the perception that we are a perfect couple. No, by far not. But we aspire to inspire the generational health piece.
mhm.
And so, with that, I want to leave you with my website. It's www.motheranddaughter.org. You can go there, find out more about our nonprofit, the inspiration behind our nonprofit, as I mentioned earlier, is my mother, the late Mrs. Linda M. Everett. She was a dance instructor for Metro Parks and Recreation for almost 40 years. And we offer scholarships to dance companies, teams, individuals, as an homage to my mother in her dance career, and of course to me as my dance career with the Sophisticated Ladies. And what else? We have, to wrap up International Women's History Month, we have an event on March the 31st, next Tuesday, where there's an arm under our nonprofit called Women in Purpose. And those are our curated virtual master classes. So I'll have four panelists, four women who will come in, and our topic is, Am I Truly My Sister's Keeper? So we will explore the dynamics of women empowering other women, sometimes why that's an issue. Why do we gatekeep sometimes? Some of the information that we have that would empower us to be better and to uplift us. And what can we do? What are the solutions going forward so that women can be in agreement and not in competition, but in collaboration? So that'll be March 31st, and that is on Zoom. That information can be found on my Facebook page as well as my Instagram page. It's in my bio on my Instagram page, which is Speak Legacy to Me. Speak Legacy to Me. That's Instagram. Facebook is Autumn Prather. Then in the summertime, we are relaunching the mother and daughter experience. So, as I told you earlier, after my seizure diagnosis, we took 2 years off. So, we did not have anything in 2024 or 2025, but we're back in 2026 with a 1 day intensive. It's called Rooted and Rising, the Mother Daughter Experience Conference. We're rooted in legacy and we're rising in love. We'll have panelists, mother and daughter panelists, we'll have vendors, we'll have interactive dialogue for reconnection, healing, recommitment to relationship, and a ceremony for rededicating mothers and daughters to be the best duo that they can be, or if you have more than one daughter, the best trio, quadruple, whatever. But it's for all women and girls. So, again, if you ever had a hand in raising a young lady, this conference is for you. If you have nieces, if you have goddaughters, if you have little cousins, if you have older daughters, it's for all women and girls. So that information will be coming out soon. It'll be on the website. Tickets will start, I believe, in May 1st. So again, watch my Instagram, Facebook, and website for those dates and information. And last but certainly not least, I am launching a consulting firm. It's going to be called Everett Legacy Leadership Group. And it is basically where we will align legacy, impact, and engagement. And so I have developed a life model leadership, I should say a life leadership model, where it's, what is your leadership identity? Yes.
Okay.
Then what is your innovative drive? Then what is your fulfillment and alignment? And then last but not least, the engagement and the impact. So more about that. That's still in development stage, but I just wanted to get it out there, just to kind of give you a little teaser. But that's coming. And so, yeah, that's about all I have going on. I think that's
Man,
enough.
that's a lot though. That's a lot, but thank you for all of that. She told you where you could find her on Instagram. Speak Legacy to Me.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really dive into the topic of legacy so much. She did mention the word legacy a few times during the course of the episode. She has established a legacy in authoring this book. She's established a legacy in working with her daughter in creating a legacy for on in the name of her mother. To pass forward to future generations of mothers and daughters. So I appreciate you, Autumn, for doing that, for being here, for being willing to be a spokesperson that says all mother and daughter relationships aren't perfect. Mine wasn't, but I learned some things in my mother and daughter relationship between me and my mom and me and my daughter that I can share to other people to help benefit those relationships. I just really like that. I appreciate that. You can find her book on Amazon.com. Her book is titled Preparing a Fruitful Harvest. What's the rest of it? One
One
Mother's
mother's pursuit to generational health.
Pursuit to Generational Health.
Hmm.
Preparing a Fruitful Harvest, One Mother's Pursuit to Generational Health by Autumn P. Prather. You can find that on Amazon.com. Autumn, thank you so much.
Thank
Like
you.
I don't know what to say. This was so fun. I don't even want to hit
I
stop right
know,
now,
right?
but
I think we could talk literally all day.
yeah, we
We
could
really
keep
could.
talking,
We really
and I
could.
may have to bring you back on at
Yeah,
some point later in the
absolutely.
year as you either get closer to your conference or after your conference, so we could talk about the impact that conference has had on people. How
Yes.
about that?
Yes, please do. I would love to come back and share.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Hey, I want to thank you guys again, audience, for watching. I want to thank you for being here. Like you said at the beginning of the show, there's a lot going on in the world today, and you could be anywhere doing anything. So we thank you for being here and spending the time with us today and watching. I want to remind you our episodes air 8 p.m. on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for everyone out there on the West Coast. And I want to also remind you to like, subscribe, share. If you know someone who is a mother, know someone who has a daughter, if you know a mother and daughter relationship who needs some mending or just needs some improving, or if you are that mother or you are that daughter and you want to make a more powerful impact in your relationship with your mother or your daughter, that book, Preparing a Fruitful Harvest, One Mother's Journey to Generational Health, I think is something like that. So I'm
One mother's
close.
pursuit, journey,
Pursuit.
same
I'm
thing.
so sorry.
Same thing.
Pursuit and journey to generational health. You can find it. You'll see the images on the screen. You can find it on Amazon.com. Autumn P. Prather here. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you again real soon on another episode of Revisit Your Dreams.
All right.
One love. We out.
Bye.
All right. Here we
Okay.
go. You ready?
Uh, as ready as I ever be, I
You'll
guess.
be fine. It'll be fine. I've done this so many times. I used to be nervous as a host when I first started this because it's in,
So, how long have you been doing it?
mm, good question. So, how I've been doing this podcast, Revisit Your Dreams, I started my first episode released last year in June.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I started recording in April of last year. So,
Hmm.
it's been almost a year for this
Okay.
podcast. I've done two other podcasts before. Me and Tanya have audio only podcast called
Okay.
Black Wealth and Culture. We did like 5 episodes, and then I had my own podcast, audio only. It was called Beats, Rhymes, and Mics. It was all just hip hop stuff that I had like 6 episodes on. So this is my third dive into the podcast space, but my first time into the video podcast space, and
Oh, nice.
I'm my longest tenured venture in the podcast space is this one, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a lot of people are getting stuff out of it. People enjoy watching it. I get a lot of feedback from it, and I
Mhm.
enjoy. I get inspired by people like you, so I like to bring people
Oh,
like you on
thanks.
to
Appreciate
talk
that.
to and to inspire other people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I know if I'm inspired by you, then other people will
Other
be
people.
inspired by you too.
Yeah.
So I only bring people on here who I'm inspired by. You know, because I could
Understand.
just bring anybody. I don't. This ain't. That's not what this show is about.
Gotcha.